We had left Romsdalen and were heading north towards Bodø to catch the ferry to Lofoten. It should have been a pretty straightforward drive, but the Atlantic Road was coming up as a detour further west. I'd never been there before, and after a quick check-in with Sarah, the detour seemed like a good idea. This trip was more about taking the scenic route than making good time. I probably had high hopes coming to the Atlantic Road, as it did feature in the James Bond movie No Time to Die. It's obviously an amazing piece of construction, but I didn't photograph it as well as I'd hoped. It's probably one of those places that looks better with a drone shot. I saw those trees on the other side and thought they looked interesting. Let's see if I can take a picture. While reading Ansel Adams' The Negative many years ago, I remember seeing a photograph of a tree line. There was something about the simplicity of it that really stayed with me. And on this trip, I'm constantly looking at the trees. Then in a split second, I saw something in the corner of my eye just before we drove past. It was actually kind of difficult to get down to the riverbank, and I'll be honest, it was a bit creepy down there, but I've probably just watched one too many scary movies. I don't think I'll ever get tired of a beautiful sunset, and I know it's probably Sarah's most favorite thing in the world. So we always take our time. I took this photograph of the road disappearing into the fiery sky. There's something about it that reminds me of Stranger Things. Now we're in Steinkjer. We've been driving for most part of the day. We do a little bit of charging before we spend the night at a campsite just up the street. We have this beautiful sunset. We've been on the road for more than 15 hours on what should have been an 8-hour drive. We'd made a few detours, extra stops and coffee breaks, and now we were exhausted. So this campsite in Steinkjer would do for the night. At least we could take a shower. The next morning, we found this little cafe in Snåsa and thought it would be a good place for breakfast. Snåsa is famous in Norway because of a man called Snåsamannen. He became known around the country for what people believed were healing abilities and clairvoyance. So it's a place we'd heard about but never actually been to.
Nei, men god tur videre, kjør forsiktig.
Takk for det.
We finally crossed into northern Norway. I love driving above the tree line and seeing how the landscape changes. Everything opens up and suddenly you're in the middle of these huge, vast, almost empty landscapes. The Arctic Circle Center. Så da er vi på The Arctic Circle. ...66,33 grader nord. Det er der vi er nå.
Akkurat der er vi nå.
Of course, being the tourists that we are, we had to stop at the Arctic Circle. The Arctic Circle Center sits up on Saltfjellet, marking the boundary of the Arctic Circle and the land of the midnight sun. We had a quick look around. Inside you can see some of the wildlife from the area and some local trolls. Finally, we arrived at the ferry terminal in Bodø, and I remember being genuinely excited. There was now just a ferry ride between us and Lofoten. Unfortunately, everyone else seemed to have the same idea. The terminal was packed. We joined the queue for the 11 o'clock ferry and slowly watched the cars in front of us disappear onto the boat. I started counting the cars, hoping we'd make it onto the ferry. We were so close, but we didn't make it. I guess that detour finally caught up with us, and the next ferry didn't leave until 3 o'clock in the morning, so we had some time to kill. And if you're coming during the busy season, make sure you're not in a rush and arrive early. Workstation.
Ja.
Waiting for the ferry. By this point, we'd been on the road for days. We'd driven more than 1,700 kilometers, spent 5 nights sleeping in the back of the car, made countless stops, quite a few detours, and shot multiple rolls of film. And now there was nothing left between us and the place we'd been driving towards this entire time. But somehow, it feels like the trip is just getting started. I've been dreaming about coming to Lofoten for years. But there was one thing I hadn't really thought much about before coming here. The midnight sun. It was now around 4:30 in the morning and we should have probably been sleeping. But the sun was still shining. I didn't realize it then, but as a photographer, the midnight sun would become one of my favorite things about Lofoten. We finally arrived in Lofoten, but before we start exploring, I think it's time for a quick nap.